The UFC in town, we all got a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes. They're one of the biggest organizations in sports, and right now Tom and I have agreed to wait for the UFC to make their announcements. So I legally can't really talk about it.
Jon Jones has finally confirmed that his fight with Tom Aspinall is going to happen very soon. On the other hand, Daniel Cormier described the situation by saying that Jon Jones is now looking down at a young and dangerous fighter in Tom Aspinall. He made it clear that Jones isn't scared. Make no mistake about that, but there might be just enough uncertainty to make him question things. Cormier pointed out that one of the biggest concerns for Jones could be the real possibility of getting knocked out. With someone like Aspinall, the threat is legitimate. He has the kind of power and speed that could leave Jones flat on his back. Out cold. Cormier suggested that maybe Jones doesn't want to risk having that image of him unconscious on the canvas being the last memory fans have of his legendary career.
Now he's looking down at a young man, and it's like, he's not scared. Make no mistake about it. But I think it's enough to like question it. And you know what I think a big worry might be for him? Because with Aspinall, he could potentially get knocked out. Like legitimately knocked out and put on his back and out cold. And I just don't know that he wants to have that visual of him in the world.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably, you probably nailed it right on the head right there.
However, Jon Jones explained that there are many things happening behind the scenes between him, Tom Aspinall, and the UFC. He mentioned that the UFC, being one of the biggest and most powerful organizations in all of sports, is handling the situation carefully. According to him, both he and Tom have already had conversations and have come to an agreement to wait for the UFC to make their official announcements before saying anything publicly. He made it clear that there are legal limitations on what he can talk about right now, so he's not allowed to share any specific details about the potential fight. Jones emphasized that while fans are eager for news, everything has to move through the proper channels, and for now, all they can do is wait for the UFC's next move.
When are you fighting Tom?
I was waiting for it. When are you fighting Tom? Like, governor. The UFC in town, we all got a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes. They're one of the biggest organizations in sports, and right now Tom and I have agreed to wait for the UFC to make their announcements. So I legally can't really talk about it.
Moreover, Jon Anik predicted that the highly anticipated fight between Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall is most likely to take place in December 2025, with T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas as the preferred venue. Although Jones fought and won at Madison Square Garden in New York last November, Anik believes Las Vegas makes more sense for a bout of this magnitude. He explained that the UFC often saves its biggest fights for year-end cards in Vegas, where the atmosphere, fan turnout, and promotional opportunities are at their peak. While New York holds significance for Jones, Anik feels that Las Vegas, known as the fight capital of the world, is the more strategic and likely location for what could be one of the most important heavyweight matchups in recent years.
Aspinall and Jones happen in 2025. What's your gut tell you?
Yeah, I think we see it December 2025. T-Mobile Arena, Dateline, Las Vegas.
Not New York. Why not New York?
Well, Jon Jones fought and won at Madison Square Garden in New York last November.
Dricus du Plessis praised Tom Aspinall for his drive, focus, and hunger to prove himself at the highest level. At the same time, he acknowledged that Jon Jones is likely nearing the end of his legendary run in the sport. Du Plessis said he would like to see Jones walk away on his own terms, with his legacy intact and untouched. He also expressed hope that Aspinall could rise to the occasion and carry the torch for the next wave of elite heavyweights. Still, du Plessis made it clear that Jones remains one of the most dominant fighters the sport has ever seen, someone capable of dismantling top-tier opponents with seemingly little effort, a true icon in MMA history.
Aspinall is young, he's hungry. You have Jones, who is definitely at the end of his career, 38 years old. I don't need to see this because he's never been beaten. I want Jon Jones to retire unbeaten, and I want him to retire, and Aspinall goes on to be the next big thing. But Jon Jones being the warrior that is, he says, pay me enough and I'm doing it. Aspinall wants it, and one of them has to lose that fight. And that's the one thing, you look at it and go, Aspinall's probably going to win. But then, if you ask me that, I say, no. We've said that so many times with Jon Jones, and it makes it look easy. He is the greatest of all time, for sure.
Sean O'Malley acknowledged Jon Jones's legendary career and the impact he's had on the sport, but he also offered a caution. He pointed out that a loss to Tom Aspinall could put a dent in Jones's legacy. According to O'Malley, if Jones were to lose, especially at this stage of his career, some critics might point to his age and long periods of inactivity as reasons for the defeat. While those factors may be valid, O'Malley suggested that they could still cloud the way people remember Jones and possibly affect his standing among the all-time greats in MMA history.
Tom Aspinall? God damn. It's like you risk going down as no matter what, you don't have to fight again. Greatest of all time, people will say that. You're the greatest of all time. Greatest of all time, John Jones. Or you risk it, go fight Tom Aspinall, possibly lose, and then it's like, he was the greatest. Then they're saying, yeah, but he wasn't in his prime.
Demetrius Johnson recognized Tom Aspinall's skills and potential, but expressed confidence that Jon Jones would likely win the fight without much trouble. He admitted that a matchup between Jones and Aspinall excited him more than the idea of Jones facing Alex Pereira, predicting that Jones would control and dominate the bout. Johnson also brought up the reported $30 million demand from Aspinall, suggesting that such a high price tag could complicate negotiations and make it harder for the fight to actually happen.
Jon Jones will smoke Tom Aspinall.
I don't know, man.
Man, he'll smoke Tom Aspinall.
Tom Aspinall is athletic. I think Tom Aspinall will try to take the fight to Jon Jones. And it'll be interesting to see. Like, I'd rather see that fight over Alex Pereira.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
I agree.
Like,
I would like to see that fight over Alex, but come on, man. Aspinall is a great fighter.
Yep.
He's a good champion.
Aspinall.
That's what I said. Jon Jones will smoke Aspinall.
Yeah.
Smoke him.
I can't wait to see. I hope it happens. That's the fight that needs to happen. I think Tom Aspinall versus Jon Jones needs to happen.
Why do you think there's so much friction there? Why do you think it's not happening? What? Because we see so much.
I think Jon Jones
internet.
said he wants $30 million.
Frank Mir shared his belief that Jon Jones would hold a clear advantage over Tom Aspinall in a potential fight, largely due to his elite wrestling and top control. He explained that Jones has the ability to shut down Aspinall's jiu-jitsu game by maintaining dominant positions and using effective ground and pound to wear him down. Mir acknowledged that beating a rising star like Aspinall would be a meaningful win, but he also pointed out that it wouldn't drastically change the way people view Jones's career. In his view, Jones has already secured his place among the greatest fighters in MMA history, and his legacy is firmly established regardless of future outcomes.
I think Tom might have the best chance of anybody to beat Jon right now. But that being said, I still think Jon wins the fight just because of his wrestling. I think he puts, Tom on his back and is able to nullify his jiu-jitsu from being top position with his elbows and control. What does Jon win to take that fight? He goes out there and beats Tom. Is it really going to make or break his career? I don't think anybody cares.
Bilal Muhammad shared his view that Tom Aspinall could be the toughest test Jon Jones has ever faced, pointing to Aspinall's rare combination of strength, speed, and athleticism qualities that define the new generation of heavyweights. While Muhammad believes Jones still has the skills and experience to win, he emphasized that a fight of this magnitude would only make sense if the financial stakes were high. He predicted that Dana White would push hard to make the matchup happen, given its massive drawing power. However, Muhammad speculated that Jones, already secure in his legacy and accomplishments, might lean toward a fight with Alex Pereira unless the UFC offers a massive payday in the range of $30 to $50 million.
If I'm Jon Jones, like, a lot of people consider him the GOAT, the best fighter ever do it. The next hungry lion is Aspinall. It's probably the toughest fight that he'll have. Like, this guy's the next generation. He's a lot stronger, a lot faster. But I think Jon Jones is good enough to beat him. But it's like, it has to be worth it. The fans are fickle, right? You lose one fight, they're gonna, he sucks. Right? They just care about your last win or your last loss. I think Dana White and them will end up making it. Dana White's a smart businessman. He knows how much money that fight would make. If I'm Jon Jones, you've already done everything in the sport. It's not worth it unless it's that $30 million, $50 million payday. If I'm Jon Jones, I'm picking out Pereira first over Aspinall.
Curtis Blades gave Tom Aspinall a slight edge in a potential matchup with Jon Jones, estimating his chances at around 55%. Despite favoring Aspinall by a narrow margin, Blades acknowledged that defeating Jones would be an extremely difficult task. He highlighted Jones's deep skill set, fight IQ, and years of championship experience as major factors that make him a uniquely dangerous opponent. According to Blades, even with Aspinall's athleticism and momentum, facing someone like Jones would push him to his absolute limit and serve as the ultimate test of his abilities.
I think Aspinall beats him.
Yeah, I would pick him. Like, I would go 55%. Him, obviously, it's not gonna be a landslide. Like, we're going against John Jones, he's a legend. You got all the weapons.
Coach Eric Nixick acknowledged that Tom Aspinall's quick hands could give him a slight advantage in a fight against John Jones, but he emphasized that Jones is one of the best in the sport at hand control and distance management. He referenced Jones's strategic approach in his fight against Stipe Miocic, where Jones switched to southpaw to shut down Miocic's jab, limiting him to his cross, which Jones was able to read and counter with precision. Nixick also mentioned a conversation he had with Aspinall, during which they discussed the critical need to avoid letting Jones take control in the B range, the mid-distance, where Jones excels at dictating tempo. He stressed that Aspinall would need to stay aggressive and active in those moments to prevent Jones from slowing the fight down and taking over the rhythm, which is often how he breaks down his opponents.
What advantages do you see that he has over John Bones Jones?
I think hand speed. But what John does very well, and what we saw in the Stipe fight, is John will occupy your hands. So Stipe's one of his best weapons was always his jab. So you saw John switch to southpaw, lead hand occupy, which left Stipe with one punch, which was a cross. So he was timing the cross to pull off and then was adding on. So I think when you break that fight down, I actually talked to Tom on Monday. We were kind of going back and forth a little bit on some of the game planning things. You can't be in that B range and just kind of get snake charmed by John. Let him grab your hands, let him dictate the pace, let him dictate the rhythm. You have to be hyper aggressive in those positions, and I think that's what Tom would have to do in that fight.
Aljamain Sterling shared his interest in a potential showdown between John Jones and Tom Aspinall, noting that it would be an exciting clash of styles and generations. However, he admitted that it's hard to bet against Jones, largely due to his exceptional mental toughness and high-level fight IQ. Sterling highlighted Jones's ability to adapt under pressure and outthink his opponents as traits that continue to set him apart, even after years at the top. While he acknowledged Aspinall's impressive athleticism and rising potential, Sterling pointed out that if Jones is able to take the fight to the ground, his superior wrestling and top control could shift the momentum in his favor, making it a difficult situation for Aspinall to overcome.
It's a very intriguing fight. If I had to put money on it, it'd be super hard for me to bet against a guy like Jones, just because I know the mindset that he comes in with. Not saying Aspinall couldn't get it done because of all those physical gifts that he has, but dog, betting against a guy like that, if he gets you on the ground, that's just a bad night.
Georges St-Pierre reflected on John Jones's legacy, suggesting that Jones could very well be the greatest fighter in the history of MMA. He explained that if he had to choose one fighter in their prime to represent the sport in a one-on-one matchup, his pick would be Jones, citing his unmatched skill set, adaptability, and dominance across different eras. St-Pierre praised Jones's extraordinary abilities, but also offered a realistic perspective, noting that no athlete is immune to the effects of time. As great as Jones has been, St-Pierre emphasized that age eventually becomes a factor for everyone, and even the most elite fighters will face challenges as their physical prime fades.
See, like John Jones, it's probably the best fighter that ever lives. Talk about if I have to choose someone in his prime that I put in the Coliseum hand to hand, I think it would be John Jones. It's hard to deny that.
Joe Rogan highlighted that John Jones has experience dealing with fast opponents, citing past fights against Alexander Gustafsson and Lyoto Machida. He recalled Machida's quickness, which allowed him to land some clean shots on Jones, but pointed out that there's a big difference between handling speed at light heavyweight and facing someone like Tom Aspinall. Rogan emphasized that Aspinall, at around 255 pounds, brings a rare combination of speed and knockout power that Jones hasn't encountered before. While Jones has proven he can adapt to fast strikers, Rogan suggested that Aspinall's size and athleticism make him a unique and potentially dangerous challenge that Jones hasn't truly faced in his career.
But John has been used to fighting guys like Alexander Gustafsson, guys who are really fast at light heavyweight. So the speed is not going to be as much of an adjustment. Like, John's used to really fast people. He fought Lyoto Machida when Machida was in his prime. Machida was a lightning bolt, man. And he caught John a bunch of times. But then there's the thing of getting caught by Lyoto Machida is not like getting caught by 255-pound Tom Aspinall.
Joe Rogan referred to John Jones as the boogeyman of MMA, a fighter who can still find ways to win even when he's not at his best. He pointed to Jones's first fight against Alexander Gustafsson as a prime example. Despite having a limited training camp and coming in less prepared than usual, Jones was able to dig deep and secure the victory in the later rounds. Rogan emphasized that the rematch told a different story, A fully motivated and focused Jones dominated Gustafsson, reminding everyone just how dangerous and nearly unbeatable he can be when he's locked in. For Rogan, that ability to perform under any circumstance is part of what makes Jones such a legendary figure in the sport.
You're calling out John Jones.
Yeah.
Right? That's the boogeyman. Like, John Jones is the boogeyman. When he fought Gustafsson, he had almost no training camp. They said he barely showed up. Talked to Jackson about it, and Greg Jackson was always like, he didn't even train for that fight. He pulled that fight off in the 4th and 5th rounds. That's when he really turned it up. So you're talking about a guy who hasn't even been training. And then you saw the real John Jones in the second fight. That's motivated John Jones.
That's it for today's video. So what are your thoughts on this? What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comment section and make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video. Also, check out our other videos on the screen right now.